Hi everyone, Mike here. I'm just going to forget that yesterday took place because I didn't make a video. So rather than starting from the beginning, we're just going to say that this is day number 6 for my recordings. Believe it or not, talking in a microphone is a lot harder than one would think, and which is why this is a challenge for me. But in any case, I want to share with you some things I had in my mind. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we know that social media is really toxic at times and is just ripe with negativity and ripe with just combativeness. But I had a conversation which made me think about some things. And I want to bring up a movie that I saw about 15, 20 years ago. The movie was starring Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Kevin Spacey. It was called Seven. I don't know if you've seen the movie Seven or not, but if you have, then you know how good it was. If you haven't, then I definitely recommend seeing it. The plot of the movie was there was a criminal going around trying to demonstrate the 7 deadly sins by leaving a victim in place for every single one of the sins. The culmination of the movie was the detectives figured out the crime scene and they caught the guy and they ended up killing him because that was part of his plan to begin with. Anyway, just go check out that movie. But the reason why I started thinking about that movie is in my conversation, I started thinking a little bit about human nature. Now, human nature is can be working against you or in your favor at any given point in time. What we have to do to get better and to realize how to communicate and how to react with people is to understand human nature. If it's either working for you or against you, and if we understand what it is and how people are, then we can actually use it to our advantage. So I'm going to spell out the 7 sins that I saw from that movie. Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. So if you want to break down all the different definitions and how they apply to this world that we're living in, let's start with sloth, right? Being lazy, not doing anything productive, just wasting your time is not a good place to be. Right? In many cases, being lazy can affect other people, even though you don't think it does. But when people have expectations for you to deliver a promise, for you to do something for them, to be of service, and you're too lazy to be of service, then that definitely is a sin, and it can lead to many bad things. The other one is gluttony, right? In this world, it seems that people are forgetting to have delayed gratification. They just they want more, they consume. Economics are run on consumerism, right? It's a spend first, ask questions later, see if I can figure out how to pay for it later. Or especially around the holidays and people's birthdays, people just want to consume. But of course, in America, we consume our diets, right? We overeat, we overindulge, but it can be way more than what we have. The third one I'm going to say is lust, right? Well, we know what lust is. Lust for power, lust for more money, lust for love. Lust can lead to all kinds of things, and I don't even care to go down that road. But if you think about lust for love and of the flesh, all kinds of challenges come your way. Here's a good one right here, envy. Envy is desire for what you don't have, right? And what you didn't earn. If somebody has more than what you have, you are envious. In fact, that's even why I started this conversation with the 7 deadly sins, because we were talking about people who are wealthy in this country and whether or not they deserve that wealth. A comment was made that billionaires shouldn't exist. And I never understood what that really meant. Billionaires shouldn't exist. I mean, if they meet a market demand, if they have a product, a service, or innovation that meets market demand, then they should be able to just achieve that wealth. Of course, now we have this socialist, left-leaning type of ideology in this world where the wealthy people, the 1%ers, those people, they should be sharing with everybody else. That's nothing but the sin of envy, right? People have envy because they haven't earned something when they have just as much time to go ahead and do the same things, right? And we'll talk about opportunity and all that in a little bit, but don't be envious, okay? Wrath. Greed, anger. We see that going on in today's world, right? Yes, there are injustices, and I talked about this, but wrath is not the correct action, right? You shouldn't have anger and rage in your heart because that's never going to solve anything good. With rage, you're just creating more problems. So we see looters, we see protesters, and it's one thing to express your point of view and your ideology, but when you start destroying other properties, when you start hurting other people, especially if they have nothing to do with the issue at hand, that's just a sin of wrath, and it's just going to cause more problems. Greed, right? Uncontrolled longing for material gain. That's the sin of greed. Now, a lot of people, going back to the sin of envy, will say that a lot of wealthy people in this country are greedy. They want to take from things, and they want to abuse people, and they want to just get their own gain, right? And so there is that point of view, and I'm not going to say that some people in this world are not greedy. But the thing is that if you're helping people, you're not greedy, right? But if you're envious, trying to combat greed, that's not getting anywhere either. The last one is pride, a foolish sense of one's ability, right? There's a lot of prideful people in this world. They may have good ideas, they may have bad ideas, but they're so prideful that they demand that people bow to them and worship them. They demand that people give them accolades, and they may even demand, because they are so prideful that they're so good, they can help you, or they have all of life's answers. They want to control you. That's the sin of pride. And so, from a libertarian point of view, an anarchist, I would say that every single one of these 7 sins you can find within government, but more than that, they're in everybody. Every single person at one point in life have all 7 of these. However, something interesting that I found was that in contrast to the 7 deadly sins, there's always a contrast, right? There's always an opposition to everything in life. Well, there are 7 what they call cardinal virtues, right? And I found these interesting. The 7 cardinal virtues of prudence, justice, temperance, courage, faith, hope, and charity, right? So what is prudence, right? It's a seeing ahead and being able to govern by reason. So if you have the virtue of prudence, going back to the billionaire thing, right? If you have an idea or an innovation that can help people, or you have a vision of something that could help people, and you actually act within reason to meet that market demand, then you deserve what you have accomplished, right? And so the key word there is govern by reason, right? You can't just govern by your sinful side, but you have to have reason. The second virtue is justice, how you deal with others, right? Civility in this world is lacking. It comes everywhere. People are not civil, and we see that. That's why I said social media is toxic. It's toxic, it's negative, it's everything else. Now, dealing with others is the justice of others, right? We can have a conversation about the justice system in this country and what the government does, but just how we interact with each other on all sides, whether you're a citizen, whether you're not a citizen, just a living person within a sovereignty, or you're an agent of government, right? Police officers should be able to have a good interaction with others, right? We don't need to see oppressive, forceful, even murderous police on the streets, because they need to exercise justice. Temperance, right? Oh, temperance is a big one. The fight nowadays is for equal justice, right? Equal rights. Black Lives Matter is about equal rights. And I am in no way saying they don't deserve equal rights. Everybody has the same equal rights, right? Blacks, whites, browns, blues, whatever color you are, you deserve equal rights. But having temperance is being able to tolerate what somebody else's ideals are, how somebody else lives their life. You might not agree with their choice of life. You might think that that's strange, that's incorrect. You might be offended by it. But we need to exercise temperance and have them have the ability to really just live the way they want to. The fourth one is courage. Courage. Now, along with having a vision to see within reason how to act, you need to be able to take risks. Everything in life can be related to a risk factor, right? The risk of going outside and getting sick of the coronavirus. The risk of being able to go out into the world and not get harassed by police. The risk of being able to take a little bit of money and put it into a business idea, right? The risk of asking that girl or that person out on a date. Everything is a risk, okay? We need to be able to overcome risk. We can't cower behind risk. The last 3 I'll just read together. They are biblical, but faith, hope, and charity, right? Faith is an action. Action based on a belief. If you have a belief set and you want to see if this thing is going to work, you exercise faith. Faith is knowing that if you do this thing, then this outcome will come. Hope, right? They say that human beings can't live 40 days without food. Human beings can't live more than 7 days or 4 days without water, right? And you can't live 6 or 7 minutes without air. But human beings, for a fact, cannot live 1 second without hope. Hope is that optimistic feeling. Hope is that I know that life is good. Hope is that positivity, right? The antidote to negativity. That's hope. That's I want to get away from the dark side of life and look at the positive side of life. That's what hope is. Can't live more than 1 second without that. And the last virtue is charity. It says in scriptures that charity is a love for all. It's the greatest of all virtues. Charity for one another. Being sympathetic, showing empathy when you need to do that, but giving of ourselves. Giving of ourselves, whether it be in some kind of charitable donation of your money or of your time, right? The act of service is the greatest love that any man can or woman can have. I found it interesting because, again, a lot of people are looking at the world with the rioting going on, with the protesting going on, and what the cops have done, and whatever side of the equation you look at, you're going to see the good and bad in all these equations. You're going to see the 7 deadly sins in everybody, and you're going to see the 7 virtues in everybody. The point is that every single one of us at any given time can be very sinful or very virtuous, and it's how we actually look at the world which is going to determine what our value set is, right? So if you want to improve yourself, you need to be able to realize, okay, where am I bad, what needs to be fixed, and where am I good, what needs to be magnified. And if you go ahead and do that, I think the world will be a lot better place. That's all I have for today. See y'all. Bye.